Have you ever wondered a few do's and don'ts when it comes to social media, especially right now? Don't worry, I can help. Hey everybody, Katie Lance here, founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting, the Get Social Smart Academy, and author of the book, Get Social Smart. It's episode 189 of the Get Social Smart show. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you a few of my most important do's and don'ts of what to post and what to talk about on social media right now during uncertain times. Now, if you're watching this over on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the bell button because we have new videos that are coming out each and every week. And this particular video series we're in right now is all about social media in uncertain times. We just found that right now, let's be real. There's a lot going on in the world, right? We're in the middle of a global pandemic. It's an election year. There are things like social injustice that we're seeing like never before. The reality is there's a lot happening. And so we wanted to devote these few weeks to really talk about some do's and don'ts and some ideas on what to post and things like that. So if you've missed any of our previous videos, check that out. This video though, I'm going to dive into a few of my favorite do's and then we'll talk about some don'ts. Okay, the first do is be thoughtful, be empathetic. That's really important. We talked a little bit about this in the last video where we talked about, hey, it doesn't need to always be about business. So be thoughtful, be empathetic. That's a small thing that makes a really big difference. Number two, shine the light on others. This is also something we talked about in some of our other videos. If you're not sure what to say, if you're nervous about taking a stand and you want to be professional, which is very important, I really believe that there's a lot of power in shining the light on somebody else, right? Is there someone else in your local community? Is there someone else who's a client of yours? Is there someone in your sphere of influence that you could highlight and say, hey, check out what they're doing? Maybe it's your favorite local business owner. Maybe it's your favorite salon, your favorite restaurant. Maybe it's your lender, your stager. When we can shine the light on others, it's a win-win. They feel great. It's unexpected. It's also a great piece of content to share with your community. And it's also a great way to build your presence over on social media. My third do is stay in your lane. Now, this is sometimes hard for a lot of us because if we're in real estate, we have opinions and we want to share those. But I'm a big believer of staying in your lane. My lane is social media and real estate. I'm also a parent, of course, and happily married and a business owner. That's my lane, but I'm not a medical professional. So I think we want to be really careful, especially right now with sharing things like medical advice, things like that. We want to be careful, right? So stay in your lane, and that's going to actually take me to some of my don'ts, which I'm going to get to in just a minute. So make sure you keep listening because I'm going to cover a few don'ts in just a second. The other piece I'm going to say when it comes to a do is use social media as a way to be helpful. Like I said a second ago, be helpful, help other people, but look for opportunities. Maybe there's something really great that's happening in your local community. You might follow your local school district, your local chamber of commerce, what's happening, especially local, and where is there an opportunity for you to share that out. I often find, especially right now, so many of our local city sites and school sites, sometimes things are changing so fast that they're not always updating their websites, but sometimes their Facebook page is a great place to go and to share content. And again, just be that resource. One of the things I love most about agents and brokers, as I said, is you guys know the most really about your local town. You're like you're almost like the local mayor. I know many of you try to be kind of the digital mayor of your town. And so one of the things to really think about right now, and especially if you want to kind of stay out a little bit of the controversy, is think about how you can share helpful resources, helpful information. Maybe it's resources for keeping kids busy. Maybe it's helpful resources when it comes to schooling, things like that. So those are a few of my do's. All right, ready for the don'ts? All right, a big don't is don't mindlessly share. This is something I think we're all guilty of. I know even I'm guilty of it. And what I mean mindlessly share is right now it's really easy to see something. We watch a video, we read an article, and we go, oh my gosh, I have to share that. And we share without actually watching the full video or without actually reading the whole article or without actually looking at the source of that content. I really feel that in real estate, we have a responsibility not just to click share because we have sort of this knee-jerk reaction to something, but to really make sure that we read beyond the headline and really make sure it's an accurate source. So a couple tips I will give you is when you're sharing content, read the entire article, watch the entire video, but you also want to look for that source. Look at the URL of the website, right? Make sure it's an accurate website that you recognize. And if you're still unsure, you might do a quick Google search. Google search it and just check to see, that piece of content or that piece of news is something that is coming from a reputable source. I think that's really, really important. Along with that is we want to be careful of sharing things from a friend of a friend of a friend. I'm seeing this happen a lot where we see, oh, this was copied and pasted from my friend's sister's brother, second cousin. And again, I'm sure you have the best of intentions, but we want to be careful of that. It's kind of like back in the day when, we would play the game, like the chain letter game, where you send out chain letters, or that game where you sort of whisper something and that whisper goes around the room, and by the time it comes back to you, telephone, that's the name of the game. You play telephone, you whisper something, it goes around the room, it comes back to you, and it's nothing like what it originally was. So we want to be careful of that. Don't mindlessly share. Be careful of things from a friend of a friend. I think we also want to be really careful of things that are really funny, memes and jokes. Now, I'm not necessarily saying don't be funny, but I would say be careful. Because the reality is we're going through really unprecedented times. There's a lot of people who are really scared right now. So you can be funny, but one of the tips I'm going to give you for being funny is turn the joke on yourself. Turn the joke on yourself. I've found that when I can share something like our crazy cat and some of the funny things he's done, or some of the funny things that we've experienced as a family, or some of the silly things that my kids have said, it's funny, it's almost self-deprecating humor, and it's a way to be relatable. It's a way to be funny without necessarily sharing something that maybe someone might take offense to. So just be careful when it comes to some of the funny jokes and memes out there. Like I said, turn the joke on yourself if you need to. It's a great way to, again, be relatable in a big way. All right, the last couple of don'ts is don't be unprofessional, right? We don't want to be unprofessional. I think there's this real fine line between taking a stand, having an opinion, but we want to be a professional, right? We want to be respectful. And as I've said in other videos, it's not just what you're posting on your feeds, it's also how you're interacting with people. In this day and age, people can take screenshots, things get shared kind of out of context. So we want to be professional. I think that's really important. And the last thing I would say when it comes to a don't is I would really highly recommend that you not automate a lot of your social media content right now. And that might not be a popular thing to say because I know there's some companies out there that will, automate your social media. And not that I'm necessarily, against smart automation, because I think there's certain things that can be smartly automated, but especially right now, you want to be really, really careful. And I just encourage you to show up. It's so important for you to be there versus hand off your social media to someone else or to automate it to someone else. It's important that you show up, you be there, you're authentic. I often say social media is like the ultimate dinner party. Imagine having a dinner party with your 10 most important clients, and instead of you being there, you have your assistant show up and run the whole thing. We would never do that, right? But that's kind of what happens when you just automate it, push a button, have someone else do it versus having you show up. So those are a few do's and don'ts. Like I said, I know this is a little bit of an awkward conversation, but I also think it's really important. So I would just ask you, if this was helpful for you, I would ask that you share this video. Share it out with your colleagues, with your friends. If you're a broker watching this, share this out with your office. If you've got a Facebook group with your fellow colleagues, that would be awesome. And I would also love to hear from you. What questions do you have about social media? Are there some ways I can help serve you better? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you're looking for additional tips, tools, and resources, I would encourage you to go over to our website, katielance.com. We have a free resource library with tons of great free resources that are going to really help you develop a really smart social media strategy now and in the future. All right, guys, thanks so much. Again, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos. Stay safe, stay well. We'll see you next time.